They're not there, Susie, are they, because they're women?
No, and that's the good thing about this. They're there, both of them, on the basis of their ability. And it's interesting that the Conservative Party, which is packed full of stale, pale, older males, shall we say, don't care that there's 2 women on the ballot, that most of the members and most of the voters and most of the people at home watching this don't really think that having 2 women in the race really matters. They're being talked about and they're being judged on the basis of their experience and their character. And that's how it should be.
Resham, does it matter to you?
It matters to me in the sense I think it's really important for the pipeline, for young women to see that you can get to the very top of a party, that you can become the leader, the Prime Minister in this day and age. So from that sense, I really like the fact that we have 2 very strong, capable women. But I'm also really pleased, as Susie said, that we've actually got 2 women who are brilliant at what they do, and they are there because they deserve to be. Away
from the woman, Theresa May, who helped found your group, how have you worked to get more women into politics, into the Conservative Party?
Well, Women to Win do a lot in terms of fundraising, training, coaching, trying to help mentor women. There's a huge amount, like I said, about the pipeline. At the moment, only about 30% of people applying to be candidates are women. So it's about encouraging more young women. So I've gone to schools and universities to give talks about politics, engaging, trying to make sure that girls and young women see this as something they should be doing.
Here's a question, Susie, actually. After everything that's gone on recently, does it show politics in a bad light as far as who would want to be one now, whether they're a man or a woman?
Well, that's partly why you've only got 30% of people coming through the pipeline who are women who want to do the job, because you've seen for years that it's not something that you're necessarily attracted to or that would be much fun. If we can get women in the top job, then hopefully that would mean that more women might. I had a daughter 12 weeks ago, and she will be able to grow up in a world where, for better or worse, she will know that if she wants to, she can get to the top job in the country.
And here's the thing. I mean, we listed there how many female leaders there are. Of course, Angela Merkel and the 2 running for the top job, and potentially Hillary Clinton in the States, and many, many others as well. But that doesn't mean that below that level there's less inequality, does it? I mean, let's not fall into that trap, thinking, oh, well, everything's all right now, because it's not.
No, I'm sure those women will probably say that somewhere along the line they've had to make a sacrifice of some sort. That it is very difficult to juggle, perhaps if you've got a family or if you've got other things going on in your life. And anyone who gets to the top of politics has had to make a sacrifice, male or female. But the issue is perhaps more that how are we going to talk about them now and where we go forward? Now, we're really going to discuss them on the basis of their clothes or their shoes or their hair or their children, or are we actually going to keep on discussing them on the basis of their ability?
Or is it other women doing that too much, Resham, looking at the shoes and the hair and everything else?
Yeah, I mean, I think we as women have to take some responsibility. If we stop writing articles that focus on Theresa May's kitten heels or what their hair is like or what they wore last, instead of focusing on their policy matters, we need to stop writing those articles, and we as women need to take responsibility and stop reading those articles, and we need to lead that charge. And that's what we do at Women to Win, to try and keep the focus on women being good at that job for matters other than it's just pure representation, or we should have a woman because it's window dressing.
But I am going to draw a few quotes from a Guardian article written by 2 women in London and in Berlin about women rising from the political ashes of men. And they quote the Business Minister, Anna Soubry, who said, she apologised to the British people for the state of our politics, said, "We've had enough of these boys messing about." Is that I know we're all smiling at that, but is that a wise thing to say?
I think it's a perfectly accurate thing to say. The world has been run by men.
They haven't messed about forever because they're boys. They just messed about, well, maybe for whatever reason.
I think there are some people who would say they have been messing about because they're boys. The world has been run by men, and if it was going terribly well, we could all still be sat at home with our feet up.
Resham,
unfortunately, we need to come out.
Let me ask you, we're expecting Angela Eagle perhaps to mount a leadership challenge to Jeremy Corbyn. We keep hearing about that, so there could be 2 women feasibly across the dispatch box. Will it change things like PMQs and the adversarial nature of our politics?
I think theoretically we could imagine it would. I think a lot of women I've read, a lot of MPs I've spoken to have complained about the nature of PMQs. However, having seen PMQs live, having heard the way it actually happens, I'm not sure it will change that much until you change a significant number of the backbenchers, until you have more women as MPs. It's going to continue to be dominated by men in the chamber. So I'm not actually sure it will change. It's a very adrenaline rush
situation. Women aren't this non-confrontational, non-heckling gender who are terribly nice to each other all the time. Some women are absolutely appalling to each other.
I know that right now. I just had to ask the question.